we're honoured to have the British Ambassador with us this evening, and he's going to do the honours. So without further ado, please, Ambassador, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, good evening, everybody, and it's a great pleasure to be here. And it's a pleasure to be finding myself standing on my hind legs, addressing such a group of, I did it rather intimidatingly, literary and artistic people. But it's a great pleasure to be here at the United Arts Club, and thank you very much for the hospitality that you've shown in letting me be here this evening. Now, my job is a very simple one, which is really just to introduce Tony Strickland, who's going to be speaking ahead of our author tonight, Emma Bellemy. I met Emma before I knew her nom de plume in a pub in Sligo, but maybe that's another story for another occasion. But she happens to be the sister-in-law of a very good colleague of mine when we were both working in the British Embassy in Washington only a few weeks ago. So you may think in Ireland you're only 2 degrees of separation away from any other Irish person you may meet anywhere in the world, but clearly that same thing applies to the Brits, at least when we go to Sligo. So now, Tony Strickland, what can I say about him? Tony's here on my left. Many of you will know him better than I do. The Strickland surname is very much to his advantage because it's a name that comes from the north of England. So I commend him to you for that, although he is, of course, completely an Irishman. And in his day job, as it were, he's an independent art curator. So without any further ado, I will gladly and humbly hand over the metaphorical microphone to Tony Strickland. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Rob. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the United Arts Club, which is no stranger to writers for over 100 years. It's a cliché to say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but in the case of Living with Juno, it is certainly true. There is much more to Emma's creation than might appear from the blurb. This is not a one-dimensional book. There is much below the surface of this multi-layered narrative. Living with Juno can be seen as a guide to life, a life-affirming, empowering guide, as well as an entertaining novel. If there is a message, it is one of hope. It is about listening to your inner voice, trusting that voice, and the importance of that enlightenment. Emma has drawn us into a world of hope and renewal, where the heroine embraces life and the opportunities and changes in that life, just as Emma herself has embraced such opportunities and changes in her life. Themes of identity are addressed, capturing moments in time with a very evident honesty. She has made magic of the blank page, with all the colours and shapes of her imagination. There is also much humour in this novel. While it may have a message, it is not preaching to the reader. It is an evocative work with many atmospheric qualities, leaving much room for the imagination. There are some notable characters who will leave a mark on your memory, and there are events and situations which will stay with you long after you've finished this volume. I see that even the beer that features in the book has made an appearance here tonight, and I hope you all sample it. In fact, when the final twist is revealed, you might well decide to return to the beginning and read it all over again. You certainly will get lost in this world that Emma has created. Writing is a very valuable lens through which we view the world. Emma has enlightened us, and in these dark economic times, we need all the light we can get. The reader who travels on this journey with her will be well rewarded. I have attempted to convey what makes this work special, but the evidence is right here between these covers. It is all about new horizons, and Emma is embarking on new horizons with this novel. We all wish her well on this journey, and I'm delighted to declare that Living with Juno is now well and truly launched. Now, Emma is going to read a couple of excerpts from the book.
Thank you very much, Tony, and thank you everybody for coming this evening. I'd like to read two short excerpts. One from chapter 4 and then one from a little later on. Chapter 4 is called Sometimes a knock on the door is life-changing, but you have to open it first. I was carefully laying out my clothes for the trip when I heard a tap on the front door. The lack of the buzzer meant it was someone already in the block, but 11:30 at night was a bit on the late side, and because I still didn't know many people, I was on the verge of ignoring it. Concern that someone might be needing help got the better of me, and I tiptoed to the spy hole to see if I could get a glimpse. I recognised Juno's profile immediately, but hesitated. It had to do in part with preparing for my date with Matt. Though more than that, I sensed another point of no return. I said earlier that one of my aims in relocating was to make new friends, although the reality was that I wanted to make some friends. I was technically Gina No-Name, who in the Midlands had kept socialising down to a quick drink with colleagues and conversations to matters of business. The gentle art of chatting was as mysterious to me as the Loch Ness Monster. Outwardly, especially at work, I appeared to be socially well-adjusted and popular, although the truth was that I carefully hid behind my job to avoid getting close to people who might see my sensitive nature and exploit it. For years I had cultivated a hard outer shell to protect my insides, which I perceived to be made of delicate pink marshmallow.